Welcome back to Unconquerable Minds. I'm Jason Tracy.
And I'm Dariel Walker.
We have a real treat for you today. We get to dive into this man's story, and I'm telling you what, I met Dariel, like we talked about in the first episode, a few months back, and he started telling me just a glimpse of his story, and it really drew me in and really inspired a relationship that we've built so far. It's really dynamic, and something that I realized at Christmas time was, even though I can empathize with Dariel and I can think, wow, if something like this happened in my life, how would I feel? I'd be so, how would I feel? How would I act? I truly don't know what it's like to be him. And, especially with the holiday season and things going on, and Daryl's going to jump into his story here in a little bit, but it's just really inspiring. And so, we all have our reasons. We all have reasons not to get up today. We all have reasons not to shoot this video today, right, Daryl?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Things are going to pop up. I can't say that I know what you're struggling with. Daryl can't say that he knows what you're struggling with. We all have our own unique challenges and struggles. In fact, when I met Daryl, I was going through my own pity party and my own struggles in creating a business and just life challenges, in death in the family, and things that are piling up. And what I found out, and and something that he did for me, was opened up my eyes in just what we can do, even though life is getting us down. So that's the overall message for today, is that we're all going through challenges, and we may not know your challenge, but we can talk to you about what we've done to overcome us. At the end of the day, I can see us as lions that even though life happens to us, we know that we are the masters of our fate. We're the captains of our soul. We can, no matter when these bad things happen to us, we can survive and persist and use love as a tool. So without further ado, let's turn it over to this guy. So tell me, what is it, when you first found out you were going to become a father, how did you feel?
Well, it was a very, very exciting time in my life, and I wasn't really sure if I'd ever have kids. But when I found out I was going to be a dad, that was a very special time for me, and it was a transformation for me. It was a transition from what my life was to what it had become. Before my daughter Michaela was born, I would say that I was a very self-centered person. I would say that I was extremely connected to the ego, and my priorities were a lot different, and that changed for me when she was born. I changed from being this self-centered person, and not that I disconnected from the ego, but I started to become a little bit more aware of it. But I transitioned from that to being just 100% family man, and my family was very, very important to me, and that's the reason why I made a change in my life, and was my daughter Michaela.
So it was a big inspiration.
Absolutely.
I know how you feel, because I've been there in that same shoes of just kind of being the lone wolf, and all you have to do is worry about yourself, and your priorities are completely different. Mm-hmm. And then now all of a sudden it's not about you anymore. It's
right.
about the childhood and fatherhood, what you can do, what the impact you can make in your kids' life.
Absolutely. It was very important for me to be a good dad. That was something that I held with the highest regard, and I tried every day to be a better dad. That was very important to me.
So I know we talked about this, but what are some of the things that you did to impact the positivity, the psychology of your kids? What are some of the things that you did for them?
Well, I noticed in society, and we see a lot of these things on social media with people that we're close to, family, friends, and stuff like that. But people are very challenged. I don't know if challenged is the word, but there's a lot of people that lack the mental and emotional tools necessary to be able to navigate life. you know, a lot of people just don't have those tools to be able to get through their challenging situations or get through obstacles and stuff like that. So one thing that I did was I always did affirmations with my kids. When my kids were with me, before I took them to daycare, took them to school, we would do our positive affirmations. Michaela would say, I am smart, I am beautiful, and I can do anything that I set my mind to do. And, you know, she believed it. My son, DJ, he would say, I am smart, I am handsome, and I can do anything I set my mind to do. And when I first started doing this with them, it was a big joke to both of them. It was, you know, it was a game. I would do it with my son, and my son would say, I'm not handsome, Dad. I'm not handsome. I'm not, you know, and all these different things. And you know, after we had done it for a while, it really started to impact them. It really started to, you could see the I guess the importance that it started playing in the kid's life. My son, he was an introvert like me. And you saw him with that. He started to build a new confidence, and he started to come out of his shell, and he started to come into his own. And you know, eventually the kids would come to me, and they would come to me and say, Dad, can we do I am a champion? Can we you know, do our affirmations? And you know, I would always set them up on the sink so they could see themselves in the mirror, and you know, we do it, and you know, that became an important practice for us.
So tell me about the day that your life changed forever.
Well, I would say that you know, there were more than one of those days. There were 3 of those days. My life changed forever when my daughter was born. My life changed forever when my son was born, and he was born on Father's Day, so that was a very special gift. And on February 20th, when I got a call from the Michigan State Police, and they told me that my kid's mom had drove out to Bay City, and she took her own life, but not before she took Michaela and DJ's life. So when that happened, I felt pain, but to be honest with you, I didn't feel an extreme amount of pain. That you know, that didn't come until later for me, and I didn't realize it was, I don't know, maybe even 2 months later before I realized it. But after I got that news, I started to go into shock, and I started to go deeper and deeper into shock, and you know, I didn't realize that, but a couple of months later, it was definitely over a month, and as the shock started to subside, depression began to take its place, and I started to go deeper and deeper into depression. My world became very dark. You know, I could hear the sounds of death's knock at my door, and I was ready to let it in. So that became a very challenging thing for me to get through. But it did something for me in my life, and I think it helped me to, I'm not going to say I became a different person, because I don't think, if you talk to people that know me, they'll say I became a different person, but I don't believe that I became a different person. I think that the person that I was had the confidence to come out. The person that I had always been.
Kind of like you were hiding.
Yeah, it wasn't willing to hide anymore. It wasn't willing to stay in anymore. It didn't care if people judged me. It didn't care if you know, people liked who I was. It was, this is who I am, and you can accept who I am, or you cannot accept who I am, but this is who I am.
Yeah. So obviously, like I said, I don't know. I can't put myself in your shoes. You know, even thinking about that is so painful, and I can imagine for anybody that's been a parent, that's the most painful thing that could happen in your life. As you're sitting there and you're by yourself and you're going through this depression, Did you reach out to anybody? Like, what got you through this?
Well, my journey was very interesting. In that process of being in shock and going into depression, the pain had gotten so severe, it was so intense. My life had become a living hell, and I just couldn't continue living in that reality. I made a decision to commit suicide. It was a very painful time in my life. I drank a lot. It got so bad for me. I started drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning just to have the strength to be able to get up and go about my day. I just didn't have the confidence to do anything. And I would drink in the morning, and I would go to work, and I would come home, and when I got home after work, I would go to the kitchen, I would grab the bottle, I would grab the cup, I would come to the living room, and I would sit down in front of the TV, and I would drink, and I would think, and I would think, and I would drink, and that process. And I didn't sleep during that time, so I would drink and think until 4:30 in the morning, and I would just rehash memories, and I would ask myself why did this happen, and why did she take my kids, and why am I so stupid that I didn't do anything to save my kids, and all these different questions that really couldn't be answered. But we get into a place, and we start asking these questions, and those questions I was asking myself kept me deeper in that place, and of course the alcohol was a very bad thing, but that was a part of my process, and that just made things worse, and it intensified the pain for me, and it just kind of prolonged the whole thing.
So how, when did you, at what point did you change that? At what point did what happened in order for you to stop drinking and kind of move forward?
Well,
you just listened as Dariel shared his story of tragic loss, of depression, of thoughts of suicide, of alcoholism. Tune in next week as Dariel will share the process and what he had to do in order to break through the depression, in order to break the chains of alcoholism, in order to overcome those thoughts of suicide, and to start living his best life.